Welcome to Fatso Radio. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? This episode of Fatso Radio, episode number 136, is brought to you by Volpe Martial Arts. This episode and every episode is brought to you by Volpe Martial Arts, folks. Volpe Martial Arts is KW's hottest, newest Kung Fu and Hapkido school. Sifu Adam Volpe, my brother, brings you his lifelong passion. Check it out. VolpeMartialArts.com. Folks, today I'm going to get into how to get back on track. Yes, we fall, and yes, we got to get back up again. Every time we fall, we get back up. That's what we do. We're humans. We're the most resilient species ever, right? Let's do it. I hope you enjoy this show. Hope you keep on sharing it, and I appreciate everybody's love. Have a happy Friday. Lily, take it away. Fatso Radio.
Fatso, the really great podcast show.
Fatso, our very first podcast show.
Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to Fatso Radio. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? This episode of Fatso Radio and every episode of Fatso Radio is brought to you by Volpe Martial Arts. That's right, folks. Volpe Martial Arts is KW's hottest, newest Kung Fu and Hapkido school. My brother, Sifu Adam, brings you his lifelong passion right to your door, actually right to his door. We were virtual for a while, but we're back in the Kun now. So check it out, VolpeMartialArts.com. It's an amazing fusion of Korean martial art, Hapkido, mixed with a Chinese martial art, Kung Fu, of course. Mixed together, it's amazing. Self-defense, fitness, discipline, camaraderie, team, family, it brings all that. So Volpe Martial Arts, check it out. Folks, welcome to Fatso Radio. If this is your first time Fatso Radio, welcome. If this is not your first time, thank you for joining again. This is episode number 136. And folks, it's another Friday night. What's the date today? I don't even know. I can't see right here. The 9th. Wow. No, the 10th, September 10th. So folks, a lot of things going on. I want to talk about the election coming up later on in the episode. But first off, I want to get into some of the stuff that helps us kind of get back on track. And it's one of the things that I talk about quite often. It's a lifelong journey, right? So every time, if I have a plan, or if you have a plan, or if you have a diet, or if you have a regimen that works for you and it works well, and you know it works well, you're always going to go back to that. If you're smart, right? If you have something that works and you know it works and you recorded that it works, and whether you go off it or whether something else happens in life, if you have that to go back to, you're always going to go back to something that, if it works. That's the key, right? So finding something that works is definitely the key, but falling off track is really hard. So I want to talk about a couple of the major reasons why maybe we fall off track and how to get back on, if I can. So number one, I said the number one biggest reason for people to fall off, quite honestly, and this is not shifting the blame off of us and put it onto the world or anything, but the number one reason, in my opinion, is that we're inundated with crappy food. We're inundated with cheap, non-nutritional, just calorie food, in the form usually of either sugary food or sugary mixed with fat or sugary mixed with salt, mixed with fat, mixed with all these different things. But the real culprit, I think, is the crappy food, right? If everywhere we had snack food and it was always high fat food, protein, high fat food, we wouldn't be in the problem we're in. And it really is the high sugar food and the abundance of this high sugar food. So everywhere you look, right, it's there. And I really, if I can articulate this correctly, I think I've broken down to really the three different types of people when it comes to this junk food or this type of food. The first type of people I run into oftentimes, and it's quite frustrating for me because I'm not this type of person, but the first type of person I want to say is often the type of person that says, well, it just doesn't affect me. I don't either have a problem with it, right? Or it doesn't affect my body. So who cares if there's so much sugar around? Who cares if there's so much junk food around? I get it. It's a free country. I'm the same person that's going to say freedom, 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 do whatever you want, freedom of choice, freedom of vaccines, freedom of medicine, all that stuff. So I get it. I'm not going to say to outlaw it. I'm not going to say to make it illegal, but I would like some more education around it, right? And I would like the idea I would like more people to know that just because you're not addicted to it, or just because you don't have a health problem with it, or a mental issue with it, or an emotional issue with it, it doesn't mean other people don't. So I guess just a bit of an awareness thing. But usually the first type of people that I see, and it's frustrating because I wish I was one of those people that didn't bother me, right? Or I could handle it. The other type of people, I think, is it because other group of people that having all this sugar around us and having all this crappy food around it doesn't bother them, is because those people, and again, I'm not labeling anybody, but those people tend to think that, well, it's all in balance, right? You should be able to moderate yourself from this junk food and from the healthy food. And a lot of people that think that, a lot of people that really feel and they believe and have this in their life as their practice, feel like you should be able to have a little bit of this junk food and still be okay. And every bit of food, you should have a little bit of everything. And the idea of balance and moderation, a lot of people speak in those terms. Well, that's very hard for people that have a hard time balancing, or people that were out of balance. The last group of people, I think, and I definitely belong in this group, I believe, the people who just need to stay away from it, quite honestly, because it's just not good for them. And it doesn't align with their goals. I'm one of those people. So it doesn't mean that candy bars are going to kill me. Sure, or not. It's not going to kill me. It doesn't mean that, some candy or some bread or something is not going to kill me. It's not going to kill me, but it definitely won't get me to my goals. I know that now. I've done this diet for long enough now. Again, the ketogenic diet, the high or even the carnivore diet, but the idea is it's a high fat diet. And again, Fatso Radio, this is what this is all about. A higher fat diet to get you in a state of ketosis, not only just in a state of ketosis, because you don't always need to be in a state of ketosis, but it's to be able to go in and out of ketosis, which gives you the ability to burn fat. That's what ketosis is. And if you can pop in and out of ketosis, you'll have the ability, and your body will maintain that ability to burn fat. A lot of people can't ever get into ketosis, or not ever, but a lot of people are so rarely in ketosis that they never get the benefits from it. And the true benefits from ketosis are weight loss, inflammation, it's anti-cancer, it's showing all these inflammation or all these benefits physically, but you really need to get into ketosis, and that's hard for people that eating sugar. So again, the ketogenic diet, having more fats, more protein than normal. Without getting into the weeds, you can have 20 grams of carbs, you can have 30 grams of carbs. Everybody's a little different, but once you're in ketosis, that's not only the key. Staying in ketosis is a good idea when you're trying to lose weight, or when you're trying to have an actual goal in mind for ketosis. You don't always need to be in the ketosis, but I think the healthiest state is being able to get in and out of ketosis whenever you need to, or whenever you have to. Whenever you need to, if you want to lose weight, whenever you have to, in cases of starvation or cases of scarcity. We don't have food scarcity around here, so we're very, very fortunate. But and that's why I think a lot of people have this weird acceptance, or have a hard time accepting the idea of not eating for a day, or not eating for 12 hours. Well, what do you mean, right? We're told we're supposed to eat 3 meals a day, or 4 meals a day, or 5 meals a day. When you're telling somebody, or oftentimes my fear, or I think what happens in the world, if I can better position that statement, I think what happens most times is that people like me that have a hard time balancing sugars and balancing carbohydrates, especially refined carbohydrates, and especially grains, for those people, you just have to stay away from it. They just have to stay away from it, and there's no other reason, right? There's no other solution, at least for a temporary purpose, or at least until you need to, until you want to get to that whatever goal you need to. But really, it's going to be a long-term goal. If something that got you to a state of either optimization or a state of health, if something that you did got you there, right? You stay there, stay doing those practices, stay keeping those routines, because that will most likely, in a reasonable sense, keep you happy, keep you healthy, and keep you happy, right? If something you did to get you there made you happy, keep it up, and made you healthy as well, keep it up. Secondly, I know there's a lot of social pressure. So the first reason is that there's food everywhere, right? There's junk food everywhere. There's food that will absolutely help you fall off your diet, fall off the wagon, fall off the bandwagon, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if that's a reference that I'm supposed to use. If it is, if I'm offending anybody, sorry. But I think that the idea is that's the number one thing that's going to happen. There's food everywhere, and that's why it's so easy to fall off. Number two, there's social pressure. I mean, I'm not one to say it's this group of people's fault, or it's my mom did this, or my dad did this. I'm sure I blame my mom and my dad a lot in the past. But what I mean is there's a lot of social pressure because there's a group of people, like I said, the group number one from the last comment, that a lot of people just doesn't bother them, and it doesn't bother them physically. So they sometimes project their own opinions, right? It's like, well, if they think it's balanced and they don't have a problem with it, a lot of times people have a really hard time understanding the people that do have a problem with it. And that's why a lot of people just say, well, why don't you just stop eating someone that's overweight? That's just not how it works, right? People that are overweight are hungry, but they shouldn't be hungry. And the reason is because they're not using their body's fuel. They're not able to tap into ketosis. If you're able to tap into ketosis, and the better you are able to tap into ketosis, the less hungry you'll be, less often you'll be hungry, the less often you have to refuel. It's just there's so much freedom with that, right? Also, it's social pressure. It's everywhere. It's in social gatherings. It's in whatever. Also, the last reason I want to say that people fall off their diet or fall off their path, whatever, is that life is stressful. So there's no easy way to say that, I guess, but it is just, maybe that's the easiest way. Life is stressful. There's a pandemic going on. There's not only that, you have a job, you have kids, maybe you have a house, maybe you have parents, you have elderly parents, maybe, or you have small children, or you have whatever the case may be. Life happens, right? And life gets busy. And oftentimes we lose focus. That's just what it is. Life gets focused, or life gets we get distracted quite often. So how do we get back, and how do we regain our focus? Because we can. Remember, something pulled you off your path, or something pulled you, or something distracted you, but that means something can get you back, right? The best thing to get me back always, if I've ever fallen off track, is to look at progress and to look at the tried and tested things that actually work, right? After you lose, not only just lose weight, but after you go through a bit of a health challenge, or whether you lose a bunch of weight or improve your health or go pain-free after years of pain, if you found these things, and I've said that a minute ago, but once you found these tricks and you find these things that work, hold on to those for dear life, because those will be the tools that get you back, right? It's funny, I went to Kung Fu class last night, martial arts class, and I was, just training, like, right. And then after class over, I was talking to my brother, Adam, Sifu Adam, and I'm like, it's funny. I don't feel too old to do any of this stuff, but what I feel old for is getting back in shape, right? So it's not like, and I guess what I was saying is, I'm not too old for Kung Fu. I'm too old to get back in shape at this age over and over again. So the key is, like, well, just stay in shape. Exactly. And that just made me think, not to get off too far off topic, but that made me think that, like, it's not being 42 or 43 or 44 or 50 or 60 or 70 and doing certain exercise. That's the greatest feat. The greatest feat is maintaining that, I believe, because that's where you get the greatest outcome. That's where you get the greatest built of not only confidence, but your physical ability and your physical health, is that routine, day after day, building after building on the previous day's accomplishments. If you're able to walk 1 mile, the next day you can walk more. The next day you can walk more. If you lift 5 pounds, the next day maybe you lift 6 pounds, and so on. Weeks later, months later, it's about progress, right? So how do you get back on track? How do you get back on track? Might be a little bit different than how I get back on track. There's a couple things that I always do, and they seems to work. It really is mental, though, folks, and it usually takes me, now, I was gonna say, it usually takes me two or 3 days to get back on track. Sometimes it takes me 4 or 5 days to get back on track. It really depends on how far I've gone off. What was it? Was it a summer that I've blown out and I just ate whatever the hell I wanted? Did I gain 20 pounds over this last year? Yeah, it's a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of parties in the summer, a little bit of enjoying life, even when there's a pandemic going on, even when the world seems like it's ending. It's not. I'm so grateful. I have my family, I have my friends, I have my health. Even during a pandemic, I'm grateful enough, right, and aware enough to realize how lucky we are to be here, how lucky I am to be able to talk to all millions and millions and millions of my viewers and listeners. Sorry, I tried not to laugh at that. But if you are listening, thank you. And if you are viewing, thank you. Thank you for hitting that subscription button. Thank you for hitting the notification bell so you'll get notified every time I have a new episode. Thank you for listening and sharing and taking part in this little experiment, right? And what is it? Again, it's my story. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a health professional. I'm just a guy who's going through the same shit that you're probably going through. Maybe not as bad. Maybe I'm going through worse. That's not the point. The point is that we all have a story. We all have goals. We all have trials, tribulations. We all have hurdles, challenges we need to get through. And that's why I'm here. So how do we get back on track? The first thing for me to get back on track, and probably because this is the thing that I was probably eating a lot of to get me off of track and to keep me off of my track, the first thing is going to be no more grains. No more grains, no bread, no bullshit, no pastries, anything that comes from a grain or anything that has flour in it and you bake it, any kind. I'm talking nut flours, almond, all this bullshit flours. You can make these artificial stuff to make you feel like you're eating real flour because you know real flour is the best. None of that shit. Get back on track, forget grains, get back on track. If you're going back on keto, which you should be, if you're listening to this, maybe not should be, but if you happen to like keto, if it happened to work for you, if that's the plan you're going to go back on, which is, or even carnivore, which is very similar, right? They're both ketogenic type diets. If you are going to go in hardcore, especially if you've seen results with this will be easy for you, or this will be easier for you because you'll say, yeah, Carlo's right. I've seen the results before and I'll get back into it. Do that. And after this is all done, I'm going to kind of talk about how we can put it all together. But number one, no more grains, none of that stuff, no pastries, no breads, no pastas, all that stuff. Number one, do that. For me, that's what I do, at least. Again, I'm not giving you medical advice, but if you were me for a day, this is what I would do. No more grains, because for me, grains retains water. It causes bloating. It keeps me hungry. It keeps going down that path of eating more and being hungry, eating more and being hungry. It's just crazy. Number two, I got to drink more water. When you drink more, first you need. Most people probably don't drink enough water. That's not to say that some people don't drink too much. Some people do drink too much. But most people, or a lot of people rather, don't drink enough water. Drink water. The other reason why you're going to drink water is that you're going to be shedding water big time. You're going to be spilling water because, not because you have a shaky hand, because in ketosis, when you enter ketosis, you shed more water. One of the byproducts of ketosis is water, right? So you're going to pee more water vapor from your breath. Every time you breathe, every time you exhale, water, water. Drink more water. Number two, drink more water. Capiche? Okay. In general, it's a good idea, but especially when you're back on track, back on diet. Also, water is going to help to move everything through, help your blood, help your bowels, help everything through. And if you're on a detox, what's the best way to detox other than water? You need water. Every organ needs water. If every organ, you have these different organs that are your blood purifier, your liver does certain things, your kidney does certain things, your pancreas, every organ has a job. Every organ has to be clean. Every organ has to detoxify. It detoxifies itself. Your body detoxifies itself. You don't need none of that shit from the store. It detoxifies itself with water. And the next ingredient, salt. If you're going to get back on the ketogenic diet, if you're going to get back on the carnivore diet, if you're going to go on any weight loss regimen where low carb is your approach, you need water. Like I said, no grains. Like I said, number one, number two, number three, you need salt. Why do you need salt? Well, you're going to use more salt. You're going to use more salt when you exercise. You're going to use more salt just on a ketogenic diet. You need more salt because your body requires more salt. Salt is an important electrolyte. Sodium is an important electrolyte, but not just sodium, potassium, chloride, all the electrolytes. You need salt. It is the essence of life. There are books created about it. I still want to get Dr. Nicola Antonio on the podcast soon. I got to get a hold of him. You need salt. You need salt, especially, like I said, keto, carnivore, especially if you're in a transition. If you haven't done this before, and this is the first time, you still want to take these 5 steps, they still work, right? Especially if this is your first time, you're going to need more salt. This is, if you're not new to keto, but you're doing it, and you're not new to carnivore, but you're doing it, and if you've been unsure in the past of why maybe you've had cramps, or maybe you've had muscle soreness, have salt. Salt and water go together. You need them. That's 3. Number 4, folks, you need to get sleep. You need to get sleep. I had no idea that this was a real thing, but it's really hard to lose weight when you're sleep deprived. It's really hard. Your body retains water, right? One night of sleep deprivation puts you in a state like diabetes for the next day, like type 2 diabetes in the next day. So there's water retention in there. There's your joints can be pain. Your joints you'll feel pain. You can feel pain in your joints. I feel pain in my joints the next day if I don't sleep enough. I feel pain in my muscles the next day if I don't sleep. I'm dehydrated the next day if I don't sleep, which is really crazy. You know, you think just by being up makes you more dehydrated, but yeah, you're being up, you're burning calories, you're breathing, you're eating, you're whatever you're doing. Your body needs sleep. Your body needs time, hours and hours and hours to regulate itself. Right? Your brain goes through a process. Your body goes through a process where it regulates your body temperature, regulates the amount of water you have in your system, goes through a detox at night, gets into ketosis at night. That's part of its detox process, right? You need sleep. You need sleep. Number 5, you got to get moving. You got to get moving. You don't need to exercise a lot to lose weight. You don't need to run a marathon to lose weight. You don't need to bike to lose weight. You don't need to do a lot of anything to lose weight, but you do need to move, right? You can be stationary and lose weight, but that's not the best way. The best way is to just move. If walking is your exercise, walk. Bless you, walk. If running is your exercise, walk. Run. That's great too. I really like walking. I'll talk about this again. I'm going to have another episode on walking pretty soon. It's for me the best combination of physical exercise, mental clarity, mental relaxation, it's a mental exercise as far as a meditation per se, but also it's practical. You can do anywhere. It's easy. It's scalable. You can just keep on walking. You can walk uphill. You can walk in the winter. You can walk in the summer. We were born to walk, right? Within 9 to 10, 12 months, sometimes kids 2 years, we walk eventually, and we're walkers. And it's an amazing, amazing tool. Get moving, get moving. If you're on your bike and you like biking, great. The reason why I always recommend walking, the reason why I oftentimes recommend walking as a first thing is because it's it's just that it's an introductory thing, but you can do it forever. I lost 100 pounds walking, right? You can not lose any weight walking, or you can lose a lot of weight walking. It's not just exercise. You need to do the exercise with the proper diet. And that gives me to a good point as well, is that, or brings me to another point, is that remember the things that work for you. And I hope I'm not harping on this too much, but remember the things that worked, and don't necessarily look for new ideas if the other things work. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what I'm saying. So whatever did work for you, go back to that, use it if it's worked. If it hasn't worked for you, try what I'm saying. Email me, fatsoradio@gmail.com. Last thing I want to say, and which kind of wraps up everything today again, but do what has worked in the past. Do what has worked for you specifically. Everybody's a little bit different. You may need 7 hours sleep, you may need 8 hours sleep, whatever their case may be, but really experiment with your sleep, experiment with your water, experiment with how much salt you're eating, how much fats you're eating, how much protein, the combination of all of that. But really get onto it and kind of get back into it, right? Because it's a journey. Like I said, it's a battle. Just because it's something that, oftentimes people will say, it's a lifestyle choice. It's not just a diet, so I should make it a lifestyle. Well, yeah, it's a lifestyle, but we live in a lifestyle, or we live in a time, and we live in a society where even if this is my chosen lifestyle, it's sort of under attack. Not viciously, but it's sort of, you have to sort of defend this lifestyle because there are so many other different ways to eat, right? It's easy to, if there was just meat out there, if we were back in, times where all we had was meat and whatever we could catch or forage, it would be much easier. We wouldn't have Twinkies, we wouldn't have candy, we wouldn't have pizza at every stop, you wouldn't have bagels and muffins and croissants and toast and like everywhere you turn, right? You can get these processed carbohydrates, very, very simple, and cookies and things like that. So do what works for you. Keep moving, keep the motivation going. I get it. Like I said a million times, I get it that we fall off, and I get why we fall off. It's normal. It's human. We're all human, right? And again, if I can recap maybe those three things that are the most common things, is that there are 3 different types of people. There's food everywhere. That's the number one issue, is that there's food everywhere, and it's really hard to navigate that a lot of times. If you're one of these people that are either highly addicted to food, or become highly addicted to food, or just highly addicted to anything, it's likely that you have to pick an addiction. Maybe. I'm not saying addiction's healthy. I'm not saying you should be obsessed about anything, but if you are going to be obsessed about something, here's a good path to focus your obsession on. Whatever you want to get done. You want to lose weight, you want to get in better shape, you want to have a goal of a run or a climb or something, a bike ride or something, do it. If you're one of those people like me, like I said, find something that worked great for you. If you're one of those people that doesn't matter, and you can walk through an aisle of candy, you never have to bat an eye and it doesn't bother you, no problem. And if you're one of those people with balance, realize that balance is not just eating everything, right? Balance is about balancing your health, your physical health with your mental health, and then with your goals as well, right? Again, social pressure, it's everywhere. There's social gatherings and birthdays and all that stuff. Again, you got to be strong. And then of course, we just get distracted by life. And to that, I want to say again, is that oftentimes people will say, well, there's maybe these are extreme measures, or maybe somebody's being obsessed with something. But I really do believe that there's a little bit of obsession that you will need in order to do great things, in order to do not great things that you can necessarily pound your chest and say, I'm proud I did this great thing, but a great thing for you, a great thing for your choice. You take care of your health, right? And if you haven't been taking care of your health for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 or whatever, how many years, if you haven't been, that's going to be a really great thing to all of a sudden take care of your health. A really great thing, something that you'll be proud of, something that your family can be proud of. And not only, forget everybody else, this is the most important thing for you, is taking care of your body and taking care of your happiness. And the healthier you'll be, the happier you'll be. And the healthier and happier you'll be is the people around you should be happier and healthier, or at least you're in the best situation to be healthy and happy, right? And then you'll have the energy to help other people, and you may have more patience to help other people. You may have less stress because you're feeling in a better place, better contentment. Anyway, I'm not a therapist. I'm not telling you how to live your life, but I'm telling you what kind of works for me. And I'm telling you the things that really do work for me. I've been back on and a perfect example, I gained 20, I think I was telling you 25 pounds over this last year. And that's the most I've gained in 5 years. That doesn't matter. I've already lost 5 pounds of it. I'm not saying it doesn't matter because it's not a big deal, but it's not enough to discourage me. It's definitely enough to give me a wake-up call. A good friend of mine, and it's the best because you always get people from other countries, but a good friend of mine said last week, hey, you were losing weight? I thought you were losing weight. You gained a little bit of weight. I mean, that's just a very nice way of saying, hey, buddy, I noticed you gained a couple of pounds there. And that's perfect. It didn't insult me. In fact, it was great because, someone from Europe or someone from Asia or someone, I'm going to narrow this person down, but oftentimes people from other places in the world are so blunt and so honest about it that it's shocking, but I appreciate that. It's like, hey, this is this. I love you. You're my friend. You're my brother. No problem. I'm just pointing this out. Great. Thank you. And that's kind of made me this week and later last week, really pull up my socks and say, hey, this is right. This is, summer's over. Even if whether you had a summer vacation or whether you didn't have a summer vacation, in my mind, I had a summer, right? It was a bit of a vacation. So that's it. Time to get back to work and time to get to business. Again, sometimes extreme measures or extreme situations call for extreme measures. Now, I'm not saying being dangerous. I'm not saying doing anything crazy. Of course, talk to your doctor before you do anything as far as your diet and change anything as far as your diet, but go for it. Do it. You can do it. I love you. I have faith in you. And thank you for watching Fatso Radio. Thank you for listening to Fatso Radio. Please keep on sharing the message. Again, remember, it's not just about this diet or that diet. It's just about healthy living, healthy eating, and having kind of the big picture in mind, right? Thanks everybody for listening. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great Friday. September 10th. Wow. I love you all. Peace. I was going to say thanks for listening. I appreciate everybody. Let's say bye to everybody. Bye. And we'll say thanks for listening. Say thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Fatso Radio, the really great podcast show.
Fatso Radio, the really great podcast show.
So get your butt and get in your chair.
Don't eat your nails and don't pull your hair.
We'll talk about chicken or talk about steak.
We'll talk about fat, for goodness sake.
Fatso, the really great podcast show.
Fatso, a very first podcast show.